I used 3D animation to turn simple scientific ideas into hundreds of thousands of views on my main YouTube channel, Curiosity Forge, and blow up YouTube. This isn't just art, it is a digital asset. And the best part, you can build this too. The market is starving for high-quality creators, but nobody teaches the actual strategy. I'm going to teach you my entire workflow. Master the software, beat the algorithm, and build a profitable career and your own YouTube channel.
By mastering this software, you're unlocking the ability to create high-end 3D animations, exactly like the ones you're seeing on screen right now. But it goes beyond just art. You can create detailed 3D assets like these and upload them to marketplaces like Sketchfab or TurboSquid. This means the skills you learn here can actually help you build a stream of passive income. So, let's officially kick off our first class with Blender.
Other tutorials just drown you in lists of hotkeys. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to teach you how to actually think in 3D. We are going to approach everything practically. And here is my promise to you. By the time this video ends, you will have generated your very first custom 3D model. Now, a quick warning. Do not skip ahead. If you fast forward, you will miss crucial steps and end up having to come back and watch it all over again anyway. So stick with me. Let's get this set up. Open your browser and head to the Blender website. I've dropped the direct link in the description below, or you can simply search for Blender on Google. Now yes, this software is completely free to use forever. However, I have a strong recommendation. If you are financially capable, please consider clicking that donate button and pitching in even just $5. I want to be clear, this is not a sponsored video. I'm encouraging this because the Blender Foundation gives us this incredible professional-grade tool for free, while other companies charge hundreds of dollars a month for software that does the exact same thing. Before we hit download, scroll all the way to the bottom and click on Requirements. This is crucial. If you are on Windows, pause the video right now to check your minimum and recommended specs. For my Mac users, pause here and check yours. Now, if your computer doesn't quite meet these minimums, don't panic. Just scroll down and install one of the previous versions that fits your system's capacity. You can absolutely still make amazing 3D animations, just like mine, using those older versions. Since my setup meets the recommended specs, I'm going back to the home page to download the latest Blender 5.0. I've actually already installed it to save us some time, so let's launch the software and get started. Once you launch Blender, you'll be greeted by this splash screen. Take a look at the options here: 2D animation, sculpting, VFX, and video editing. You get every single one of these workflows inside just this one program. This is exactly why I told you that mastering Blender is the key to creating viral 3D animations and blowing up your YouTube channel. You don't need anything else. Over on the right, you have your recent files list. If you need to open a project that isn't showing up here, simply click the Open button and browse your computer to find it. Now pay close attention to this button, Recover Last Session. You might assume this is for recovering your work after a crash, but you would be wrong. This doesn't fix crashes. This feature is actually designed for those moments when you close Blender normally but forget to hit save or accidentally click Don't Save. However, it has its limitations, so do not rely on it. My golden rule? Save your file manually every 20 minutes so you never lose your hard work. Go ahead and click on General to jump into the workspace. Now we are going to do a rapid 1-minute breakdown of the interface, and then we will dive straight into the practical work. Quick note, keep an eye on the bottom corner of the screen. Every key I press and every mouse click I make will appear there, so you'll never get lost. By default, Blender gives us 3 objects: a cube, a camera, and a light. To look around them, direct your attention to this colorful RGB axis in the top corner. This is called the gizmo. It is used to rotate your view of the environment. Simply click and hold the left mouse button on the gizmo, then drag to orbit around your scene in any direction. However, you don't want to be clicking that all day. The faster shortcut is to press and hold the middle mouse button, that is your scroll wheel, and just move your mouse to orbit the whole environment instantly. Next, we have the Zoom tool. You can click and drag this magnifying glass icon to move in and out. But again, the much faster way is to simply roll the scroll wheel on your mouse. Below that, we have the pan icon. If you click and hold this hand icon while dragging your mouse, you can shift the entire environment around. However, you'll be doing this constantly, so you need the shortcut. To pan like a pro, press and hold the Shift key, then press and hold the middle mouse button, your scroll wheel, and drag your mouse. This lets you move the environment instantly without clicking any icons. Below that is the camera icon. Clicking this toggles you into camera view, showing you exactly what your final render will look like. If that concept confuses you, don't worry, just stick with me and by the end of this video it will make perfect sense. Now, the shortcut for this is 0 on the numpad. However, if you are using a smaller keyboard or a laptop like mine, you probably don't have a numpad. We can fix that easily. Go up to Edit, then Preferences, and click on the Input tab. Look for the checkbox that says Emulate Numpad. Check it, save your preferences, and close the window. Now, the 0 key at the top of your keyboard acts exactly like a numpad 0. Press it once to jump into camera view, and press it again to jump out. Finally, this last icon switches between perspective and orthographic view. That concludes our brief tour of the tools. Now, let's stop talking and start building. We are going to create a custom render that looks exactly like this. To get started, scroll your mouse wheel to zoom out, select everything in the scene, and delete it so we can start fresh. Let's bring some geometry into the scene. Go up to the top menu, click Add, then hover over Mesh. You'll see a list of shapes like cube, circle, UV sphere, and cylinder. Since we just need a floor for now, click on Plane. Now use your scroll wheel to zoom in. If the plane isn't centered, use your pan shortcut to frame it. Middle mouse, and then rotate around it to get a good look. Let's practice deleting this. Select the plane and simply hit Delete on your keyboard. Now let's add it back using the method you should actually use. The shortcut to add an object is Shift+A. Press that, go to Mesh, and select Plane. Immediately look at the bottom left corner of your screen. You will see a small menu box labeled Add Plane. Here, you can type in exact numbers for size, location, and rotation. But here is a major warning. If you click anywhere else in the viewport, this box disappears and you cannot get it back. It is gone forever. So how do you move or scale the plane after that box is gone? Let's clear the scene one more time, delete everything, and I'll show you the flexible way. Let's get back to work. Press and hold Shift, tap A, go to Mesh, and drop in a fresh plane. Now, I want you to deliberately left-click anywhere in empty space. Poof, that settings box is gone. Most beginners panic here and think they broke the software, but don't worry, we don't need that box to move things. Briefly ignore the select box and cursor icons. We will circle back to those in a minute. For now, click on this arrow icon, the Move tool. Click your plane and those RGB arrows appear. Zoom in and pan so you can see clearly. Now grab the blue arrow, that is the Z-axis, and drag it up. To undo that, just right-click. Grab the red arrow for the X-axis, slide it around, and right-click to snap it back. Grab the green arrow for the Y-axis, slide it, and right-click. If you grab the white circle, the object moves freely, which is total chaos, so right-click to cancel that too. Now, to be honest, clicking that tool every time is painful. It's like driving with the parking brake on. Let's use the shortcut. The magic key is G. Think of G for grab. Press G and wave your mouse. The plane follows you like a puppy. Right-click to let go. Now let's get precise. Press G and then tap X. See that red line? You are now locked to the X-axis. Right-click to cancel. Press G and tap Y. Now you are surfing the green Y-axis. Right-click to cancel. Finally, press G and tap Z to launch it up on the blue axis. And one last time, right-click to reset. Moving is fun, but let's get twisted. Click the Rotate tool. If you grab the outer white circle and drag, the plane rotates in every direction. It is total chaos. Right-click to cancel that. Let's be precise.
Grab the green ring to spin it around the y-axis. Right-click to cancel. Grab the blue ring to spin it flat on the z-axis, like a pizza. Right-click to cancel. Grab the red ring to flip it on the x-axis. Right-click to cancel. But honestly, clicking rings is slow. Let's use the shortcut, R. Think R for rotate. Press R and drag. It spins freely. Right-click to cancel. Press R then X. Now it is nodding yes. Right-click to cancel. Press R then Y. Now it is shaking its head no. Right-click. Press R then Z. Now it is just spinning around. Right-click to cancel. Okay, enough spinning, let's get big. First, reset all your values to 0 in the transform menu so we start fresh. Select the scale tool. Grab the white circle and drag. Boom, the whole thing gets massive. Right-click to cancel. Grab the red handle to stretch it along X. Right-click to cancel. Grab the green handle to stretch it along Y. Right-click to cancel. Now grab the blue handle for Z and absolutely nothing happens. Why? Because a plane is a 2D shape. It has 0 thickness, and you can't multiply 0. Let's use the shortcut, S. Think S for size. Press X then X to stretch it wide. Press X then Y to stretch it long. Right-click to cancel. And finally, press S then Z, and once again, nothing happens. Physics still applies. We have mastered the Trinity: move, rotate, scale. Now meet the transform tool. Click this and your viewport suddenly looks like a spaceship control panel. This tool is a combination of all three in one place. If you grab the red arrow, you move on X. Right-click to stop. If you grab the little red cube at the tip, you scale on X. Now orbit around so you can actually see what you are doing. That red ring, that rotates on X. Right-click to cancel. The green and blue parts do the exact same thing for their axes. It is powerful, but let's be honest, it's a bit cluttered. Arrows move, cubes scale, rings spin. It's a lot. Let's switch back to the default select box to clear the noise. Now, let's look at the matrix method. The transform menu on the right. Hover your mouse over the location X number, click and drag like a DJ scratching a record. The plane moves. Do the same for Y, and then Z. You are now controlling the math directly. Same for rotation. Scrub the Y value to spin it. Scrub the Z value to helicopter it. Scale is next. Drag scale X to stretch wide. Drag scale Y to stretch long. Drag scale Z, and shocker, still nothing happens, because physics. Finally, below that is dimensions. It looks similar, but scale and dimensions are actually enemies. I won't explain that war yet because it involves modifiers, and if I explain that right now, your brain might actually explode. We will save that headache for a future class.
All right, scroll your mouse wheel and zoom out so we can see the whole picture. By default, our plane comes in with a length of 2 meters and a width of 2 meters. That's a bit small, so let's supersize it. I'm going to use the transform menu to scale it up, but feel free to use the shortcuts we learned earlier if you want to show off. Now let's check the top view. Click the blue Z on the gizmo. Look at the dimensions on the x-axis. It says 5 meters. That means from this edge all the way to that edge, it is exactly 5 meters. But maybe you have trust issues like me, so let's verify that with the measure tool. This tool is super useful if you are designing something for 3D printing, where accuracy matters. Click here, and let's drag it across. It is almost exactly 5 meters. See, I started my measurements slightly away from the edge, which is why it's not perfect, but close enough for government work. Same for the y-axis. If I measure here, it's slightly over 5 meters because my mouse slipped, but you get the point. Okay, press the middle mouse button to rotate the view and zoom out a bit. Let's practice scaling with specific numbers. We will use the shortcut this time. Press S and then X. Suppose you want to double the width. Just type the number 2. Boom. Your plane scales by exactly 2 units. Press Enter to lock it in. Let's do that one more time, just in case you blinked. Press Ctrl Z to undo. Now watch closely. Press S, tap X, and type 2. The plane stretches perfectly on the x-axis. Hit Enter to confirm. Now rotate your view and get comfortable because we are adding a buddy to this scene. Use the shortcut Shift plus A. Go to Mesh and select Cube. Now we have a problem. The cube is drowning. Half of it is above the floor and half is below. We need to lift it up so it sits nicely on top. Let's switch to the side view. You can click the green Y on the gizmo or use the Pro move. Press 3 on your numpad. Now press G to grab and Z to lock it to the vertical axis. Drag it up until it looks right. But is it really touching the floor? It's hard to tell in this solid mode. So let's switch to wireframe mode by clicking right here. Don't panic about these 4 circles. We will cover them when we do materials later. For now, just enjoy seeing the skeleton of your object. Okay, look closely at the bottom edge. We can see the cube is floating slightly below the ground. Select the cube, press G, then Z. Now for micro adjustments, don't use your mouse. Use the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge it pixel by pixel. Zoom in with your scroll wheel. Pan a little bit. It looks okay, maybe a tiny bit more. Perfect. Now let's go back to solid view. The cube looks massive compared to our floor, like a giant box on a tiny rug. We need to shrink it. Select the cube and press S. Note, do not press X, Y, or Z this time, because we want to shrink it evenly from all sides. Just drag your mouse in until it looks cute, and left-click to confirm. Finally, let's park this cube in the corner. I've taught you the G shortcut, but sometimes the menu is just easier for precise parking. Go to the Transform menu, left-click on the X value and slide it to move the cube sideways. Then left-click on the Y value and slide it back. Let's tweak the X position just a tiny bit more. Rotate your camera around to inspect your work. And I think that looks solid.
All right, time to bring in a sphere. Let's do it the classic way. Shift A, go to Mesh, and select UV Sphere. Boom, a sphere appears, but it's smack in the center, crashing the party. I actually wanted it over here, next to the cube. Now, I could press G, then Y to slide it over, then G, then X to nudge it back, but honestly, that is way too much work. Let's work smarter, not harder. Delete that sphere, and let me introduce you to the 3D cursor. See this red and white life buoy thing? That is the 3D cursor. Think of it as a laser pointer for God. Wherever it points, creation happens. So, select the cursor tool, rotate your view a bit so you can aim properly. Now, left-click right next to the cube. The target is set. Now, when we add an object, it won't spawn at the center of the world. It will spawn right here. Let's prove it. Press Shift-A, Mesh, Sphere. And just like magic, it appears right where we wanted it. Now, notice the cursor tool is still active, acting like an eager puppy following your clicks. Shortcut for cursor tool is Shift plus right click. Shift right click here, Shift right click there. You can place it anywhere. But what if you made a mess and want to send it home? Press Shift S and hold it to open the pie menu. There are lots of fancy options here, but for now, just choose Cursor to World Origin. Snap, it goes back to 0. Okay, the sphere is huge. Let's shrink it to match the cube. Press S and drag. Whoa, wait a second. Notice how it's shrinking towards the center of the world instead of shrinking in place? It looks like it's being sucked into a black hole. Why? Because of this little setting up here, the transform pivot point. Right now, it is set to 3D cursor, meaning everything rotates and scales around that red and white circle. We don't want that. Change it to individual origins. Now, when you press S, the sphere behaves itself and scales properly in place. Much better. Let's park this sphere perfectly. Click the green Y for a side view and switch to wireframe mode so we can see what we're doing. Press G, then Z to lift it up. Zoom in, pan around, get in there. The sphere is still a bit too big compared to our cube, so press S and gently scale it down. Press G, then Z again to kiss the floor. It looks okay. Let's check solid view. Rotate around. My perfectionism is tingling. It needs a tiny adjustment. Back to wireframe we go. Zoom in on the base. See that gap? It's floating. Press G, tap Z, and gently land it. Zoom out, back to solid mode, rotate around to admire your work. One last annoyance. Every time I click, that 3D cursor moves because the tool is still active. Let's turn that off by selecting the default Select Box tool. Much safer. Finally, send that cursor home one last time. Shift-S, cursor to world origin. Rotate your view, pan a little, and get ready, because next up, we're adding a cone.
Press Shift-A, go to Mesh, and select Cone. It appears right in the center, probably stabbing our other objects. So let's fix that. Click the blue Z on the gizmo for the top view. Press G to grab, hit Y, and slide it down the Y-axis to give it some breathing room. Rotate your view around. Now click the green axis to switch to the front view. Pan over a bit, press G, then Z, and lift it up so it's sitting at the same level as our cube and sphere. Right now, this thing looks less like a geometry object and more like a giant dunce cap. It is way too big. So press S and scale it down until it looks reasonable. Now press G, then Z, and gently lower it back down to match the floor level. Press G, then X to slide it sideways and give it proper social distancing from the sphere. But is the base actually touching the floor? Let's switch to wireframe mode for the truth. Zoom in, and yep, there is a tiny, annoying gap. Press G, then Z, and carefully bring it down until it kisses the plane. Perfect. Let's go back to solid mode. Zoom out and rotate around. Click the blue Z again for the top view. I want my cube, sphere, and cone to be lined up like soldiers. So grab the cone with G, press Y, and nudge it into line. Looks good. But wait, look at the gap between the cube and sphere versus the sphere and cone. My OCD is tingling. The space is uneven. Grab the cone with G, press X, and slide it over until the gaps look equal. Hit Enter to lock it. Zoom out, rotate, pan. Let's add the final member of the squad, a cylinder. I won't use the shortcut this time just to keep you on your toes. Go up to the Add menu, Mesh, then Cylinder. Boom, it lands at the origin like a meteorite. Scale it down immediately. Click the blue Z for top view. Grab it with G, press Y, and move it out of the center. Then G and X to slide it into the lineup. Click the green Y for front view and switch to wireframe mode. Pan over, grab it with G, then Z. Now, compared to the others, this cylinder looks a bit short and stubby. It needs a growth spurt. Zoom out a bit. Wait, too close. Zoom in. Okay. Press S to scale. Remember, no axis keys here. We want it bigger in all directions. That looks healthy. Now press G, then Z to fix its posture. Rotate your view and zoom into the base. It's hovering slightly, defying gravity. Press G, then Z, and bring it down to Earth. Enter to confirm. Zoom out, pan over. One last check on the spacing. Grab with G, press X, and slide it to match the distance from the cone. Enter. Rotate around, check top view. It's slightly off-center. Grab with G, press Y, and nudge it into perfect alignment. Enter. Back to solid mode. Middle mouse rotate, and finally, the gang is all here and looking sharp.